On today's episode, we're going to talk about Sammy the Bull and him saying that he got tattooed with a symbol of the Aryan Brotherhood with the permission of the leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood, implying that he was made an honorary member of the Aryan Brotherhood while he was in prison. He said this on a recent episode of his channel, so we're going to analyze what it is that he said there. So the first thing we'll listen to is a clip from that episode. This way we can get into our own commentary on the subject. Let's watch the clip.
Through the years, you guys know I became friendly with AB guys, familia, Mexican mafia type of guys. And I got this tattoo over here, up here. It's Odin. The AB guys, Odin is like their god. The Vikings days and stuff like that. They don't allow that to be on anybody's arm. They'll cut it off if you put it on. I became so close with the ABs. One guy came to me, this guy, Brian One Eye. And one eye was a little fucked up. And he got stabbed near the eye. And he said, Sam, you're not one of us, you're not an AB. But we love the shit out of you. We've been close. I want you to know that the head guys said, it'd be okay, you're getting tattoos if you put Odin on your arm. All the ABs will know we gave you permission to do that, so you will never have a problem, number one. Number two, they'll always have your back, because they know how we think of you. I thought it was a privilege and an honor to be looked at like that, and I said, okay. And I got Odin on my arm.
Okay, so here's the problem with what Sammy the Bull is saying there. In the first place, everybody who knows about his history knows that he first got locked up when he was still the underboss for John Gotti, and that he was sentenced to about 5 years of federal prison time in that case because he agreed to cooperate with the government. So, in that case, he got over 3 dozen mafiosos locked up through his testimonies. The thing to understand there is that this means that whenever Sammy gets locked up, he's always going to be placed in protective custody. He's never going to be in general population because too many people want him dead. Now, there's also an episode on Sammy's channel where he talks about being locked up in ADX Florence, which is a maximum security facility in the federal prison system. Sammy the Bull did most of his time during his second bid, the one for the drug charges, in Arizona and ADX Florence, which is a super max. Once again, it's the only super maximum security correctional facility in the federal prison system. So in ADX Florence, if you're doing time in general population, you have very limited contact with other convicts. On the other hand, if you're in protective custody, like Sammy the Bull was, you would be in H unit, completely segregated. However, if you have good behavior for a couple of years, the jail will move you into what's known as J unit. And then you have access to interaction with 2 to 3 other convicts in protective custody, which was the case with Sammy the Bull. So the point is, Sammy the Bull wasn't in general population. He wouldn't be around active members in good standing of the Aryan Brotherhood. He just wouldn't. He'd be in protective custody with other informants. So when he says he had these interactions with members of the Aryan Brotherhood, those were guys who were kicked out of the Aryan Brotherhood. Now, he goes on to say in his podcast that the Aryan Brotherhood didn't allow people to have a tattoo of the god Odin on them unless they were members of the Aryan Brotherhood. And that's false. I did 12 years in general population in the state prison system where they do have certain members of the Aryan Brotherhood and offshoot organizations of the Aryan Brotherhood. So I could tell you firsthand that you have Caucasians who are tattooed with the god Odin, who are not members of the Aryan Brotherhood. Odin is a god of ancient Norse religion, or the religion of the ancient Vikings. So a lot of white guys in the prison system, they get in tune with their roots, so to speak, and they'll have tattoos of the god Odin. So you don't have to be a member of the Aryan Brotherhood to have that tattoo. Now on the show, Sammy the Bull said that he was allowed to get a tattoo of the god Odin by one of the leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood named Brian One Eye. And he was mistaken about the name of the guy. The guy's name is Brian Deadeye, who was a member of the Aryan Brotherhood who got kicked out for being an informant. So the guy's nickname is Deadeye, not One Eye, as Sammy the Bull said, which goes to show you he didn't really know these guys too well.
One guy came to me, this guy, Brian One Eye. And One Eye was a little fucked up. And he got stabbed near the eye.
Now, Deadeye is called that because he has a glass eye, right? Now, again, he's a former member of the Aryan Brotherhood. He's not in good standing. What happened with that guy is that he performed a hit for the Aryan Brotherhood. He killed one of his bunkies, one of his cellmates, and then later on, he became an informant in an investigation against the Aryan Brotherhood. So the Aryan Brotherhood put a hit on him, and he cooperated with the government and went into protective custody. And that's how he met Sammy the Bull. But again, Sammy the Bull says Brian One Eye. So again, he's just an old guy who don't really know what the fuck is going on, obviously, or what's happening with his situation. Now, again, the thing with the Aryan Brotherhood is, like with the mafia, they don't accept rats. The only thing with the Aryan Brotherhood that's different with Cosa Nostra is that with the Aryan Brotherhood, if they can't get you, they'll kill your family members if they can. They don't care. So any real Aryan Brotherhood member who is in good standing would murder Sammy the Bull. They're not going to let him live. Believe that. He would be dead in a minute. You could guarantee that. So when Sammy the Bull said on his show that the higher ups of the Aryan Brotherhood allowed him to get this tattoo of the god Odin, and that nobody would fuck with him or mess with him, rather, he knows he's lying to his fans. The Aryan Brotherhood did not allow Sammy the Bull to get any Aryan Brotherhood tattoo on him. Then there's another guy that Sammy the Bull talks about sometimes on his podcast named Cornfed, another former member of the Aryan Brotherhood. His real name is Paul Schneider. So Sammy the Bull was locked up with him too. Now Paul Schneider, aka Cornfed, the Aryan Brotherhood has a hit on this guy. He used to be a member who had rank, but he became an informant. And he went into protective custody. So when Sammy the Bull says he has all of these blessings, from the Aryan Brotherhood leadership, once again, he's full of shit. So that's the situation with Cornfed, aka Paul Schneider. He's a former Aryan Brotherhood member who was kicked out. And if the Aryan Brotherhood could get to him, they'd kill him. So, in short, Sammy the Bull is lying to his fans about that whole situation. Those who know. The couple 100,000 people who believe the bullshit, hey, let them believe it. Sammy the Bull believes he's still Cosa Nostra. You know damn well he's not Cosa Nostra anymore. He was kicked out in the same way these Aryan Brotherhood guys who he associated with were kicked out. And with that, leave your comments in the comment section. Let us know what you think about the whole situation. if you think Sammy the Bull is being truthful or if he's going back to telling lies. You know, he's a rat. We don't encourage or support rats on this channel, nor the followers of rats. We consider the followers of rats to also be rats. You know, a rat is the lowest life form.